Всем привет, меня зовут Андрей. Хоть сегодня и футболки своей одной из двух любимых команд Токио Верди. Сегодня мы проходим не фифу. Вообще странно проходить фифу, хотя там есть режим какой-то вроде как карьерный, да? Сюжетно-карьерный. В общем, вообще футболка, моя новенькая футболка не имеет никакого отношения к тому, во что мы будем играть. Это Disco Elysium. Продолжаем проходить, слушать охуительные диалоги и монологи нашего разума, точнее диалоги нашего разума, потому что в нашем разуме полно личностей. Так, значит, я сейчас хотел поговорить с этим дальнобойщиком.
Welcome to Rivachol.
Почему ты так обращаешься к моему напарнику?
Don't you welcome to Revachol me. My grandfather came here from a 3,000-year-old racist isolationist culture, while your ancestors came to this island a mere 300 years ago. Every school of thought and government has failed in the city, but I love it nonetheless. It belongs to me as much as it belongs to you.
Это был расистский подкол, типа. Добро пожаловать в нашу страну. Ты же этот, чурка, типа. Ты здесь гость, типа. Он говорит, ладно, все, вы все поняли. Ну, я промолчу.
It's men like you who keep Revachol divided, making it that much harder for everyone to climb out of this post-war limbo.
Выходит, мы все же в лимбе.
Oh, come on, man. I just said welcome to Rivachol. It's a lorry driver thing.
I know exactly what you meant. You think my kind doesn't belong here, that I should watch myself and behave. But you see, I'm an officer of the RCM. It's actually my job to make sure you behave. I would advise you to remember that.
Он реально это рассердился.
Silence. The air between them becomes tense. Your partner needs backup. Now's your moment to shine.
Ну, поддержим его, окей. Без Беким, я с тобой.
You two make a cute couple. You know that?
The lieutenant exhales and resumes his regular calmness.
Ну что, с этим разобрались, а теперь у нас есть несколько вопросов.
Whatever you say, officers.
Что перевозишь?
Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so it's a sit and wait on your ass situation.
Погоди, так сколько это уже все длится?
The strike? Oh, they've been at it for a while. A month, 2 months maybe. But this here is just the last week or so.
А какой ты груз должен был забрать?
Apples?
Яблоки?
Yeah, apples. I take it you had other questions?
He's given you the runaround. Let's be honest, you were bested.
Ты водишь грузовик, верно? Что ты думаешь про наркотики?
Drugs? They're shit, man. I don't let anything pollute my body.
Почему?
You know where that shit comes from? Sarah Miriza, Safre, Ilmara. They take the money from our local junkies here and then use it to outcompete us in the manufacturing sector. They know they can't beat us in a fair fight, so they have to get us to weaken ourselves somehow. It's racial sabotage, racial economic sabotage.
Погоди, но ведь альгуль, алкоголь, тоже делают в Ильдамарате. Мне так сказали.
I don't go for that foreign piss. Proper booze is made in Mundi. Or sometimes I like a dram of that Yugograd vodka. Koikos and worse much, but they do no booze.
Значит, ты не возишь наркотики и контрабанды из Мартинеса?
Not in, not out. I'll never betray the purity of my tribe.
So you're telling us that you don't know anything about drug smuggling through Terminal B?
I don't know shit. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Тогда чего ты здесь до сих пор торчишь? Остальные камионерс почти все разъехались.
What do you think? I can't leave the lorry unguarded. Stuff's been getting looted lately. It's those little kips sneaking around at night. If they touch my stuff, the bosses will be on my ass like ass cancer.
There was a bunch of spilled boxes in the back of a big lorry nearby.
По пути сюда я видел грузовик, у которого распахнуты двери прицепа. Ты знаешь, что там случилось?
Yeah, I knew that guy. He was an honest driver who loved this country. We were having a good debate about genetics at the Wheeling in Rags when some kip boys smashed his lock and took damn near everything. Lost his fucking job over it. Since he left, I haven't had anyone to talk to.
If they were getting drunk inside the whirling in rags, how could they know who broke into the lorry?
Если вы были в танцах, то откуда ты знаешь, что это кипты вломились в грузовик?
What? Aren't we allowed to say that it's the kips who do all the stealing around here? That's not road to science, man.
Слушай, если не ты, то кто возит наркотики через терминал Б? Блять, я сейчас... мне никто не сказал.
Isn't it obvious?
Я никого не рассказал.
Fucking Sealang, that beady-eyed South Samaran. His little side business is a scam. I wouldn't be surprised if he was peddling drugs as well.
Погоди, ты про уличного торговца к югу отсюда? Он еще и грузовик водит?
Of course he's a lorry driver. What? He tell you he's just some simple businessman or some shit? He's selling his employer's stuff after he broke the seals on his Humanox lorry. His tribe are natural liars. It's in their blood. He's your man, all right. 100%.
I wouldn't be so sure about it. Not until we've heard what Sealang himself has to say.
Похоже, пришла пора навестить Силеня.
Guess so.
Тут мы закончили. Наверное. С тремя я водителями поговорил, и никто не сознался. Но у нас есть новая зацепка. Кажется, кто-то нам тут в уши насал, как нам сказали.
Everything's still cool here, officer.
Скажи, Селень, что ты думаешь о наркотиках?
Drugs? I don't go in for that, officer. Drugs ruin lives. Unless you're into drugs, of course. In which case, drugs are excellent. Mwah! Tasty, tasty drugs.
Я очень увлекаюсь наркотиками.
That's very cool. A lot of the coolest detectives do drugs. Sadly, I don't have any drugs on sale, or at my home, or on my person.
Мы ищем водителя грузовика, который перевозит наркотики из порта. Он или она где-то в этой пробке.
That's even cooler. You investigating that and all. But I am not a lorry driver. I'm just a street vendor. I don't know anything about that.
A blatant lie, sire. Yet he tells it with such conviction. We'd believe him if we didn't know better.
Но ты водитель. Другой шофер опознал тебя и твой грузовик.
Who said that? It's the fat racist, right? I bet it's him. He has an agenda against me because I'm an immigrant who works harder than he does. He's a hater.
So you admit you're a lorry driver?
No, I just said I work harder and he's an asshole. I'm... Okay, maybe I'm a lorry driver too. A little. But that's not the most important thing about me. That's my day job. This is my dream.
Так ты забыл мне сказать?
Exactly. It's such a small part of my life. It's in the rear view mirror now. I'm climbing out of that hole with ingenuity.
Силен, мои источники говорят, что это ты перевозишь наркотики для профсоюза.
No! That's insane! It's the fat hater. He's been eyeing me for a week and he sent you here. Maybe he's the one, huh? Have you thought about that?
Хватит юлить. Что тебе известно о перевозке наркотиков в порту?
Nothing. I told you. I'm not a dumb guy. I don't get involved with that crowd.
And what crowd is that?
Crowd? You know, the drug crowd?
Хорошо, если ты не знаешь... Хорошо, если ты не знаешь, то я расскажу твоему нанимателю, что ты продаешь его груз.
No use. He's not telling us. He's too afraid. We need to take him to my station and ask him there. After we've called his boss.
Okay, look. There's bad people doing bad things here. That's all I know. Please don't get me into this mess. I spent 15 years working my way up.
Here we go. There's a tiny bit of truth on the table. Zoom in on it.
Мы с тобой друзья, Силен. Так помоги же нам. Никто не узнает, что это был ты.
It's a she, okay? The other drivers call her the lady driver. You're better off staying away from her. The way they talk about her, she's no lady.
Кто эти другие водители, которые они говорят?
All of them. I don't know. I told you all I know. Are we cool now? I really want us to be cool now.
Who exactly is talking about this lady driver of yours? The racist or the other one with the tattoos?
All of them. Even the ones who've left. I don't hang out with them. I don't remember who has tattoos.
Эта рулевая дама случайно не та пожилая женщина? Странная и не в себе.
I don't know. Maybe. If she is, I haven't gone near her. I don't get involved. I told you.
It could be. She was strange.
Ладно, проехали.
All right. I scored. Let's cap this off with a purchase. You can walk away from here with funky sunglasses, detectives. Both of you. You deserve it.
Не буду тебя мешать. Так, мы немножко продвинулись, не так ли? Вы знаете, кто такая дальнобойщица и где ее грузовик? Давай спросим у этого типа, может быть, он что-то знает.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind?
Я слышал, что среди шоферов есть женщина, но ее, похоже, тут нету. Ты знаешь эту рулевую даму?
I don't want to talk about that.
А почему? Ты что-то знаешь? И что же?
Man, I was hoping it isn't going to be her. All I can say is, she isn't around here anymore. She isn't some evil drug trafficker. And I don't know where she is.
Что это за человек? Как ее зовут?
Thank God I don't know. People here call her the lady driver. She kept her name a secret. From me too. Now I see why.
Кто она тебе?
A friend? An acquaintance. I don't know. She was the only person in this damn jam I could talk to. She's someone I don't want to rat out to the law, okay?
Как она выглядит?
A youngish woman. Gruff, but in a cool way.
What color hair?
Blue and violet. Dyed. It was violet when she got here. Blue before she went.
Then she may have dyed it again.
Когда она уехала?
Damn, I don't want to... Please just let it go. Whatever she did, it can't be that bad. She's not a bad person. I know that much.
We can't just let it go. It's part of a police investigation.
That's how it always is with you, isn't it? All part of the investigation. The girl's troubled. If you hunt her down, she may not survive it. I can't have that on my conscience.
It won't come to that. We won't pursue her on this. This is information only.
I don't believe you.
Поверь, это действительно так.
I just can't, man. I'm not naive.
Ты говоришь, у нее свои тараканы. Что это значит?
She's got the darkness in her. That young person's darkness when you think it's all over. And you're looking for a way out.
She shared this with you?
Yes. Which is why I don't want to snitch on her.
Я не прошу тебя стучать, просто ответь на несколько вопросов.
It's snitching, man. I know what it is.
Мне говорили, что все ее боятся. Ты нет?
I heard the rumors. I saw the other drivers looking at me strange when we talked. And she told me, too, that she's had a violent life. But I wasn't afraid of her. More like for her.
Did this violent life include drug trafficking?
Well, it looks like it did now. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about life, you know? She talked about her mind.
Творится у нее в голове.
The way it worked. The trouble it was giving her.
Когда она уехала, то оставила свой грузовик.
Fuck, man. Go grill someone else with these questions, okay? There are plenty of drivers here who couldn't stand her or were afraid of her. They'd be more than happy to rat her out.
He's right. There are other options. The raceman, for one. The grey-haired woman. Maybe she knows something. Push Tommy, and it will break his heart and his spirit. Don't expect you to be pals. Now is not the time to focus on feelings. You need that info, son. It's right here. The answer is right here. You just need to ask him. Come on, do it.
Ну хорошо, оставим пока это дело.
Thank you, friend. Wow, this makes me feel like I should pick up smoking again. Would help with my rhymes, too.
О, раньше у меня были низкий шанс. Кстати, чувак, хочешь послушать мои стихи? Не знаю, почему-то в прошлый раз у меня были низкие шансы. Я прокачался? Или что?
Wait. There's something here, stored away in some dusty corner. It starts like...
У зеркала всегда температура нулевая. Как лед по венам. Отражение рентген.
Whoa. What else?
Словно... Что? Потир? Словно потир, что принимаешь на причастии безмолвном.
Silent communion. That's good.
Где изумленно рот разявив, меняешь личность, никогда не бывшую твоей.
Dang, that's some great shit. You came up with that yourself.
Я думаю, что слова мои, да.
Fucking A. Seems I got you all wrong. Cops aren't much known for their artistic sensibilities these days. It's good to meet a fellow poet. Someone with an appreciation for real text. The others here say you don't really get it.
Вот видишь, оказывается, копы тоже люди.
Yeah, I guess I owe you an apology for thinking otherwise. And again, great shit.
You found some common ground with this man. Even impressed him. The next time you look in the mirror, though, remember those words.
Правда, это мне не особо что-то дало, а может быть, он бы не дал мне покурить, а так даст теперь, к примеру, или там мелочишки. Но я не особо это хочу просить у него. Пока что у меня все, счастливо. Пойдем поговорим, ладно, с этим, с расистом. На него я надавлю. Тот чувак добрый, мне жалко на него давить. А на этого можно надавить. Извините, я нажал на паузу и сбилась озвучка. Ищешь кого-то? Так. Я вижу, что ты увиливаешь от ответа. Говори прямо. Где рулевая дама?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Тогда почему ухмыляешься?
Listen up, fuckwits. You don't scare me. You cops don't run Revachol West. You don't run Martinez. You don't run anything.
А кто управляет? Ты?
No. He means La Puta Madre.
A legendary, and not in a good way, crime boss from Jamrock. Controls what is probably the most powerful organized crime outfit in Revachol West. Looks like the lieutenant has a plan. Let him do this.
Yeah, him.
Скрестить руки и кивнуть.
Then I presume you are familiar with his peonies.
Yeah, they're his little bitches. He's got them all over the unions.
Not just the unions. He has peonies everywhere. Some say he even has them in the RCM. Dirty fucking peonies who'd do anything for him. Multi-ethnic drug addicts.
The lieutenant adopts a rodentine quality. Be cool, sire. He's getting into this.
Промолчать.
You're not peonies. You wouldn't be investigating a drug thing if you were.
No, of course not. We are not peonies. But if we were, and one of Madre's drivers were to be stealing from him, then it's a good peony's job to find out who that is.
He's surprisingly good at this. Not bad at all. Look at him lurching.
It's not a hard job. It won't take a long time. It won't make Padre Madre angry. But a stupid fucking racist is standing in the way, protecting this fucking thief.
I'm not scared of you or the mob. I'm under the protection of the Lorrymen and Carters Guild.
You've seen the corpse in the yard, yes? You took a peek. I know you did. Does it look like his friends protected him?
Nah, you wouldn't just leave him out there if you...
The lieutenant turns and gives you a barely perceptible nod. I've softened him up as best I could. Now it's on you to finish the job.
Заставить его рассказать все, что он знает.
The main thing is to not overdo it, even when you're trying to scare someone. The most important thing is, how does it look on your resume?
Какого хера? Твоя песенка спета, у меня есть на тебя грязь.
Oh yeah? And what goods are those?
Ну, твоя грязь.
Is this some kind of homo thing?
Да, может и так.
Okay, that's enough, detective. That's enough.
Я все засрал.
Let's just go and ask Tommy, alright? We are wasting our time here.
Блин, все из-за этой херни, какого черта? Тут мы закончили. О. Что мне надо было ему сказать? Пойдем-ка выйдем.
The woman is still hunched over the railing, her head swaying to the music. her eyes looking at nothing in particular.
Щелкнуть пальцем у нее перед лицом.
Huh? What is it? What do you want?
Так, скажите, это вы рулевая дама? Да, блядь, не она же, понятное дело.
Did you just call me a lady, Herife?
She clearly doesn't think she's a lady. Don't repeat it.
Мне говорили про женщину-водителя. Вы здесь единственная женщина.
I'm not that either, Herife. I've gone too far from it all to remember what was between my legs. It doesn't work like that on the long haul.
Так вы не та водительница, которую все боятся.
I'm only terrifying to small children and to those who used to know me.
Yeah, it's not her. Believe me.
Почему вас боятся те, кто вас знал?
Because they can no longer recognize the person I once was.
Окей, тогда кто эта женщина-водитель, о которой мне говорили?
How should I know? Do I look like I spend a lot of time with the other communers sniffing around when I have my movies to go to?
Блять. Мне придется давить на того чувака неплохого. Вы сказали про дальние рейсы. Это...
The big ones, the trucks. There's no women and men there. It's all just... In the middle of this town, there's a ghostly motorway. It takes all the people where they want to stay.
In the background, a quiet song seeps from her cabin into the air. You don't hear any vocals.
Это все, что я хотел узнать. Спасибо.
Awesome.
Что ж, спасибо. О. Блин.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind?
Блин, извини, чувак, конечно. Извини, но... Погоди. Пока что погоди. Еще раз попробую с тем типом говорить. Если там уже все реплики заблокированы, то придется все-таки его допрашивать.
Looking for something?
Да.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind?
Я передумал насчет твоей подружки, рулевой дамы.
What? But I told you she's my friend. Please don't make me give her up, detective. Get someone else. There's a ton of drivers here.
Поставь себя на мое место. Мне это нужно для другого расследования. Это важно, я не могу его провалить.
You're not gonna put a bullet in your head if you blow it, are you? Because she's on the edge, man.
Она подозреваемая, и ты должен мне сказать, где она, иначе я не смогу закончить расследование.
I thought you were a different kind of cop.
Где находится рулевая дама?
Here. Her lorry's still here, down past the statue of Philippe. The cabin is green. You can get in there with these. That's all I know.
When did she leave?
Last Friday.
Что-нибудь еще? Не знаешь, где она сейчас?
No, I don't know.
И как ключи оказались у тебя?
She left them to me because she trusted me. So I can get it out of the way when the jam breaks loose. Otherwise,
The other drivers would have to tow it or break in to get the machines moving.
If they break in, they would find what's hidden inside. Something incriminating.
Сожалею, что мне пришлось это сделать.
I bet you are.
Идем, Ким.
Thank you for your cooperation, sir. I know it was hard, but you did the right thing.
You don't really think so.
I really do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be in the RCM. Take care, sir.
О. Блин, этот грёбаный расист не раскололся. Может, у меня выпали кости плохо. Обыщите кабину. Какой зеленый грузовик там сказали? Где он стоит?
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia.
Что за наклейки и эмблемы?
The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels.
Что на заднем сиденье?
The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads, Man from Eamdal in the Lost City of the Pygmies.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy.
Думаешь, это грузовик нашего крутого парня?
Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
Но это нам ничего не дает, да? То, что он расист, это нам ничего не дает. Это ну, формально там не преступление. Насколько я понимаю.
This green found, A to Z, contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This is the one our man pointed to.
Попробовать заглянуть в
The
окно.
glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of a seat and two steering levers.
Подергать дверную ручку.
The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced.
Открыть дверь ключом, который дал тебе Томми.
You push the key into the lock and turn. It makes a cracking sound. Then the door pops back a few centimeters. You can just... The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals.
Оценить плакаты.
These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat.
Изучить постер из журнала.
The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put your finger on whom exactly.
Довольно плакатов.
The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat.
Смотреть радио.
Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
Зачем кому-то столько радиостанций?
For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation, with quite a range too.
Мы можем что-то сделать с радио?
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
Что тут еще есть?
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat.
Смотреть педали.
You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Похоже, что шофер наклеил на педаль газа наждачную бумагу, чтобы не скользила нога.
Sandpaper? A novel technique?
Снова в кабину.
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a pull-out toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals.
Вытащить выдвижной ящик с
A
инструментами.
metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper.
Развернуть газету.
It's an issue of Periphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages.
Подобрать бумажку.
It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
Задвинуть выдвижной ящик с инструментами.
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, posters, a trace of motor oil smell under all the cigarettes.
Закрыть дверь.
You close the rusty old lorry door.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep.
Похоже на стандартную полицейскую процедуру. Ким, что ты обо всем этом думаешь?
Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
This means it's well funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Что насчет плакатов? Какую роль они в этом играют?
As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role.
На плакатах было много женщин, да, кстати, тоже об этом подумал. Особенно если учесть, что водитель женщина.
Yes, well...
Unimportant.
Ладно. Как, по-твоему, это связано с профсоюзом?
We didn't find anything conclusive linking them to the smuggling operation. But somehow, I doubt that Everard Clare would be oblivious to something like this happening right under his nose. My suggestion is, we use it against the Union in any way we can, to our own ends. It's a slippery hill, but we just might be able to pin them down, indirectly, down the road.
РГМ начнет расследование?
We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that.
А сам что думаешь?
The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome.
Коррупция?
All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either.
Ну ладно. Закончим обсуждение.
Debrief over. After you.
Promising race pupil returns.
Я думаю, что знаю, что такое расовая загадка.
And?
Хуйня это! Пропусти меня в порт! Так, а что там было про расовую загадку? Погоди. Современная расовая теория. Так, твой разум сбивающийся с толка. Великая расовая загадка разгадана. Осталось только сформулировать свои мысли. Ступай, говорю, блядь. А какая, в чем, как она разгадана-то? Так. Хз. Это то, что захочешь. Все это словесное упражнение на свободные ассоциации. Дегенерат, расовый герой.
Look, babe. When confronted with the harsh truth of his demise, the melancholic academician starts fiddling his own genitalia. His bald spot betrays that he is a compulsive masturbateur.
That's disgusting, Jean.
It is. Beneath the veneer of academic jargon, the liberal theorist is a beast, a sexual maniac, and a deprived nihilist. Life is a game to him. Words are meaningless. No one is accountable for anything. Nihilistic sex maniac. I take pity on your urges. You clearly want to enter the harbor bad, like a little boy who wants to go on the potty. I can press the button for you. It will open the door.
Это все, чего я хотел.
Very well. You may enter the door once. Our race conversation here has concluded.
В смысле once?
Finally. Let's go.
Дверь заперта. С этой стороны ее можно открыть только картой и ключом. Похоже, придется все-таки поговорить с председателем профсоюза. Сверху на листовках написано «Каждый рабочий член правления». Внизу логотип профсоюза и надпись «Требуем демократии». Пишущая машинка Дэви. Название модели указано на задней панели. Стандартный конторский шкаф с картотекой. Похоже, ящики заперты. Кто-то оставил кофемашину включенной. Темная жидкость в кофейнике походит на разумное существо.
On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
It's unfortunate for the union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
Let's see what's inside, he thinks.
Открыть ящик.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders.
Посмотреть папки.
Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol, Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold.
Есть что-нибудь интересное?
It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry.
Заставить себя посмотреть папки.
Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer.
Посмотреть на записку.
It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Так, Ким, смотри, список дел для Эврара.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list.
Да уж.
What is so special about this borscht? Code for drugs? Booze? Blood?
Посмотреть на записку еще раз.
Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Закрыть
The
ящик.
drawer slides shut smoothly. An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change."
Таксофон. Ну, пока мне это не надо. Уйти. Радио испускает странное жужжание.
The file cabinet stands steady as ever. The drawer slides shut smoothly.
Книга. Краткое описание инфраматериализма.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Причем тут Фрисель?
Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see.
Пролистать страницы и посмотреть, что бросится в глаза.
To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections. International development, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note.
Прочитать колонку редактора.
Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du cristal alla fume. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
Ким, кажется, это коммунистический журнал.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Международное положение. Хочу узнать, что творится в мире.
This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Что такое Kunst und Kultur?
It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective.
Прочитать про СЧ.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer.
Минутку, что это за тип-топ турне такое?
The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing. If you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll.
Ладно, посмотрим, что эти коммунисты говорят о тип-топе.
You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip-Top Tournée.
Погоди, а с тип-топом-то что не так?
Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships. And then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes.
Погоди, а кто это написал?
Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines. Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka. There's no way those are real names.
Стоп, а почему это не настоящие имена?
Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms.
А что такого плохого в спонсорстве?
Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter.
Верно, но потом ты видишь, как они разбиваются.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for.
А ведь и правда, меня действительно интересует там только насилие.
You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tourney is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Ким, в этой статье говорится, что никто на самом деле не смотрит тип-топ турне ради гонок.
Come on. Can this article read your mind?
Ну, похоже, она на это
A
претендует.
certain kind of young man reads 1 or 2 books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Посмотрим, что они имеют в виду под местными вопросами.
Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbour red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent.
Если бы не Wild Pains, то у всех этих бездельников просто не было бы работы.
According to these editorials, private enterprise is simply a means of organizing labor that would already happen regardless. It goes on to call the Wild Pines a nightmarish transnational leech sucking the life from the laboring classes of Martinez. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Брать журнал. Ничего интересного. Я думал, может быть, мне какой-то выпадет новая мысль. Но нет.
Apricot chewing gum scented one. August 2nd, early late summer. You're getting off the streetcar in Le Jardin, east of the river. Her father and mother are middle class. The nylon of her little jacket rustles next to you in the dark like autumn leaves. Her heels click on the pavement. You're walking up to the gate in front of her parents' house. She takes out her chewing gum and you kiss her. A feeling like electricity flows through your whole body. Immediately, you know that you've entered a completely different world.
Отпечаток огромной задницы на подушке, кофейные следы от кружки на подлокотнике. Похоже, кто-то привык отдыхать здесь, слушая радио. Опа, мое пальто.
The tarpaulin cloak is still hanging on the railing. The white rectangle of the Revachol Citizens Militia is clearly visible on its back. As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, it almost feels like the cloak wants to deliver a message of comfort through your fingertips. I will shield you from the elements and give my life for yours. That's what the cloak is relaying.
Сбора дождевой воды. Вокруг неподвижные гигантские машины. На контейнерах нарисованы белые сосны, как будто заснеженный лес. Множество галогеновых глаз фонаря наблюдают за тобой, издавая низкий гул. Короче, мы попали в порт. Только как нам из него выбраться, еще тоже вопрос. Потому что за нами захлопнулась дверь. Отсюда мы сможем. Сигаретные бычки. Здесь пачки 3, не меньше. Множество пустых бутылок из-под красного командора и пильзнер крепкая. Что туда? Нельзя пройти?
All those empty wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground. Someone partied really, really hard here.
Погоди, насколько не слабо?
Well, they went through 6 bottles of potent Pilsner, 3 bottles of Commodore Red, and almost 4 packs of cigarettes. It must have been pretty hard.
Это все я?
Well, yes, I think we can say with relative confidence that it was you.
Я все еще не до конца уверен, что это моих рук дело.
I am, but it doesn't matter right now. Let's just move on.
Тут же лестница. Или чё? Бля, она сломана. А тут чё?
A rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marsh and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block. Marsh. On. Arrête. Off.
Окей, пока что не будем делать это. На платформе видна потертая надпись «Квалсум».
Yes?
Да ничего. У меня какая-то мысль появилась. На орданском «Квалсум» означает фьорд китов. Да? На верфи царит необыкновенная тишина. Огромные машины спят. Громкоговорители не издают ни звука. Сейчас расположенные ниже верфи работы не ведутся. Не знаю, надо ли мне вообще сюда, но поскольку меня сюда пропустили, хочется все это посмотреть. Термос промышленных размеров, пахнет горелым кофе. А это офис? Кофе в этом огромном термосе еще теплый. Лестница из поддонов ведет вверх. Ладно, на этом мы на сегодня закончим. Продолжим, надеюсь, завтра. Что у нас там по квестам идет? Вот это я могу сдать, когда вернусь к Джойс. Продолжить, по крайней мере. Это потом сделаем, это потом сделаем. Тут у меня пока денег не хватает, конечно. Так. Это когда мы сделаем то... Тут продолжится квест. Пока непонятно. Тут пока непонятно. Тут пока непонятно. Ладно. Я думаю, неплохо так начали продвигаться. Ну, не то чтобы супер быстро, но продвигаемся, и на том хорошо. Все. Увидимся, надеюсь, завтра. Продолжим.